everyone. I'm Kendria. I need you to go like, follow, and subscribe. Soul Productions.
What's up, everyone? And this is Next Level Thinking. What's up, everyone? It's another episode of Next Level Thinking, where we always aim to help you bring it to the next level. It's your host, Chris Holmes, as always, and today I have a special guest by the name of
Torin Hart.
Awesome. So we're going to hit the ground running, tell the audience just a little bit about yourself so we can get the background story.
Yes, once again, my name is Torin Hart, originally from Henderson, Texas. I actually went out to Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches, Texas, where I started a fraternity, Alpha Delta Multicultural Fraternity Incorporated, where our host is actually a brother and family member of that fraternity. After being at Stephen F. Austin, I joined the United States Air Force as an enlisted member and traveled the world and done several attaché jobs and security jobs as a security specialist, and advanced my career from that, working with the President of the United States, President Barack Obama, provided personnel security for him.
So it sounds like you had a lot of things going on. So I'm kind of like hit the brakes a little bit and go a little bit more in depth and detail. So like, how was your overall experience being in service? And you also thank you for serving the country as well too. So definitely give a shout out to that. But go a little bit more in depth about the experience. Like, what was like your learning lessons? I'm pretty sure you got a lot of different cultural like adjustments and things like that, because we a lot of times use a lot of like our American references to things. But let's hear from your own like perspective and view what you're saying.
Well, thank you for saying thank you for your service. The main thing that I can say is it's a different dynamic being in the armed forces, and the reason I say that is because basic training is a breakdown point for a person's life and the individuals, men and women around them, to build us back up to be strong, successful people, which is, like I said, the same as with life when going through adversity. So going into the military, being an older gentleman when I went in, mostly about 22 at the age, everyone else was coming in around 17, 18. I kind of had already a different perspective on life, finishing up my degree, and they hadn't even started education. So with that being said, having that insight and still being broke down and understanding and realizing there's a bigger cause than just me personally, that opened up a lot to my eyes, especially when I got my first tour going overseas. Touching on cultural aspect, culture shock is a really big thing. You know what I mean? I'm quite happy that I was able to get that experience to see other things outside the United States of America and get a different perspective from everybody else's viewpoint from other countries. Same people that actually live in this country, you know what I'm saying, that going to see in their home country. So.
Definitely big things on that. And also does like it make you appreciate a lot of things like more often after going through those kind of like transitions and challenges?
Exactly. Yeah, it really does, because I say the civilian, even though I am civilian now, but as a civilian sector, a lot of stuff that us as military members go through, a lot of people don't really understand. You know what I mean? Kind of what we got going on with the level of stress, the level of weight that we carry on our backs to support not only the country, but our families as well, in conjunction with doing missions for the country. You know what I mean? So when you put all that stuff in perspective, trying to compare apples to oranges, it really is kind of a broad area to explain. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, most definitely on that. And then of course with what is like one of the biggest things that you learn from going out like outside this country? Because I feel like knowledge is everywhere, but I feel like become a lot more well-rounded, and it just expands when you go outside your comfort zone. And I speak to a lot of different, I guess, when it comes to that, when you go completely outside your comfort zone to an area that you have no you're not familiar at all. You're just like, okay, this is all brand new, and it's like you're going off your instincts and what you've been taught, and just exploring, just adapting to your environment. So it's like some of the things that you learn.
Exactly. Well, I can tell you, going from a hostile environment, let's say like Turkey, and where I'm about to go to is Afghanistan in a couple of months, from an area such as Germany, and France and Italy, those very lovely places. There's always a big dynamic, but the biggest thing that I know I learned was that even though America is great, even though our country is wonderful, there is a lot of stuff that we need to work on as people, as being American, and a lot of stuff we take for granted. You know what I mean? For being Americans, and unfortunately, a lot of countries see and hear about the American dream, but at the end of the day, are we really living, the American dream to our fullest versus what people overseas are hearing about and wanting to get a taste of? You know what I mean? Since we are so fortunate to be here in this country, stepping outside my comfort zone and trying to stick to what I've been trained on and what I've learned. Honestly, for the European theater, it's very unique because they are used to us. They for the most part still cherish us from World War II, and so it's a culture shock, yet it's still embraced from our allied forces over to, of course, the United States. Now, a war zone is a lot different. That's kind of hard to really go into depth on what needs to be done and what you got to do to watch yourself. Is pretty much, protect yourself and your fellow, in my case, airmen and wingmen, when you're in that hostile environment. So.
Mhm. And also with all that, going in, well, diving a little bit more into this a little bit, is it like, how do you, okay, I'm gonna phrase it like this. How do you address fear? Because we all know when it comes to this, especially in that kind of area, what is one thing that you do to address fear so you can continue to progress and move forward with the next action? Because I'm pretty sure what you say, everybody can put that into their own kind of lifestyle to keep moving forward instead of just being frozen.
Oh yeah, exactly. The best thing I would say that for me, I actually learned this from a cartoon. It's kind of funny. Um, when placed in a environment where you are scared, and in my particular instance, as a sergeant, the best thing to do when scared is act like you're not scared, because those who are around you are looking up to you to make particular decisions that can not only affect their lives but yours as well. Acting like you're not scared and keeping a level head, will make decision making a lot easier, a lot more clear, and giving orders per se to your subordinates will make it be a lot more comprehensive. That goes on with being, in the workplace, being in school, trying to get a point across in a political argument, anything. You know what I mean? The main thing is when you're going into an environment that's outside of your comfort zone, no matter how terrifying it may be, you have to act as if you're scared, because if you're scared, it will show through your body language. You know what I mean? If you are acting in a sense where fear is not such a big deal, or is not in the front of your mind, then your body language will act accordingly, therefore making better decisions and speaking more professional, or showing that you have some type of what's the word that I can use for it? Some type of knowledge base in what you're talking about. You know what I mean? It just depends. But that's the biggest thing I would say, is acting as if you are not scared, even though you are scared. So.
Yep. Very solid point as well. And then, of course, with everything you got going on, communication is very strong. When it comes, okay, I'm going to phrase it like this. So when it comes to communicating different things, of course, like, how do you communicate with someone that may see a different point of view or may have a different strategy so that you can basically come to an agreement or compromise to keep things going forward? And I'm sure this happens all the time where a lot, when it comes to this, it kind of bumps head. But how do you address it so everything's smooth and both ends is able to move forward?
I focus on the root. What is the root cause, problem, mission, task, whatever you want to call it? What is the root, and what what can each entity give to support that root cause, task, or issue? You know what I mean? Um, so if I'm, let's say that I'm in a conflicting conversation with someone about whatever topic, like I said, acting as if you are not scared. In this case, acting as if you are not getting upset, not letting your nerves get past you, and keeping a cool and calm composure. You can maintain the thought process of being on topic instead of getting scattered off from different type of let's say comments that are made during that conversation. You know what I mean? So if you stay focused on the root, you can always bring it back to that starting point of saying, what can we do to fix this problem? What specialty skill do you have that we can get to fixing this issue or this task? Whether it be something that goes along the lines, like I said, for in this day and age, the political aspect of it. What is the root cause of stuff that's an issue, or if it's a job related task, and you guys disagree on stuff, what is the main thing that you can bring to the table, that I can bring to the table, for us to collectively fix this issue? So,
Well said, as always. So we'll get dropping jewels and things like that. That's what it's all about. So coming to all of that, the importance of, let's see, building a strong bond or brothership or sisterhood, all comes into that. I feel is like very important to achieving greater goals. I didn't just say good or like average, I say greater goals, because I think a lot of times people think they can do it all by themselves. I'm pretty sure, especially what you're doing, you can't do it all by yourself. You got to depend on your other brother at hand to get things done.
exactly. The biggest thing is communication, and stepping out the comfort zone, of course, but getting to know your people. That's kind of where we fail as a society, especially kind of with our American culture. We fail with society is not getting to know our people. Um, what I've seen in other countries are, we always say, of course, we are very family oriented down in the South, or, uh, African American people are very embracive of each other, blah, blah, blah. It's the same concept with overseas. Hispanic people are very embraces of their culture. Overseas people are very embraces of their culture. But the main thing that happens is when there is a difference, no matter what it is, when there is a difference, something that is this very unique, whatever you want to call it, a lot of people try to steer clear of it because they're afraid of change. They're afraid of the difference. They're afraid of the outcome that it could possibly be. So if you get to know your people, whether they are from Germany, Vietnam, America, South, it doesn't matter. If you get to understand your people, communicate with your people to find out, kind of how they tick, how they think, so that you all can have a better understanding of how to achieve the mission, everything else will fall into play. You know what I mean? You don't have to agree with them. In most cases, you don't have to like them. It doesn't matter. As long, especially for us with the military, as me being a civilian, federal civilian with the federal government, it's still the same concept. I have to take all walks of life, talk to them, communicate, get to know them, and then see how we can all work together to achieve, in my case, the overall objective or mission for the government. So,
Well said. And it kind of ties into also like being able to agree to disagree, and just being able to accept people's differences, because we all come from different, backgrounds with family, religious belief, and much more. And I strongly believe as well that if we can just get to the point where we can give a chance to learn people and their differences and accepting that as that's who they are, and then accepting the differences, it'd be a lot more of a better place than trying to force someone to be something that they are not. And that's something that's very common. It kind of reminds me of my sociology class, is just coming to the point like agree to disagree and accepting that everybody is different, just like you. You gotta like look at your own stuff in the mirror.
that's true, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be change, no matter what. There's always, that's called evolving. You know what I mean? If we kept reflecting on stuff from what happened way back in the 1300s on how they did stuff, you know what I mean? we would not be where we are today, period. Anybody in the world. We remember, we reflect, we try to prevent, or we try to expand on stuff that occurred. But the biggest thing is accepting that it's going to have some change, period. That just is what it is.
Yep, and with change comes like the next thing in next generation, because if we don't change, we're gonna be stuck in the old. That's like accepting, like, okay, we're gonna be in caves and accept just fires and stuff like that. Someone had to think outside the box and thinking of something different to cause that progression. That comes from technology, tools, different perspectives, innovations, and all that and much more. And there's constantly gonna be even more changes because we are constantly evolving.
Exactly.
Cool. So, closing all this pretty much out, what is something that you want to leave the audience so they can remember and think about that helps them elevate them to the next level?
For my own personal, thought process, I would say this has helped me a lot. Of course, respect those around you, love and respect your family members, but you have to look out for what is good for you and your health and your immediate family around you. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if you have opportunities to grow, if you want to grow and don't know where to go, your self-image, your self-perspective and ideas will take you in the right direction, period. You know what I mean? If that means that you have to up and leave and move to a whole different location, if that means that you have to go against the grain of what, the norm is in your family or in the area that you live in, that is 100% fine, because at the end of the day, you're responsible for yourself and you're responsible for those that are around you, such as your children and your family. You know what I mean? Take that, of course, with a grain of salt on certain aspects of things. But at the end of the day, for me, I knew what I always wanted to do. I always knew what my passion was, you know what I mean, to be successful. And me working toward it pretty much at all costs has made me become very, very successful in my environment and being with the federal government. So.
Awesome. And as always, dropping the mic on in Jules. So with this closing out and much more, make sure you take everything that's said and, make sure you live a better life for not only yourself, your family, and those who are surrounding and looking up to you, because you never know who's watching and they may need your help and support or motivation so they can overcome the things that's going on in that life. So closing out, this is your host, Chris Holmes, as always, helping you bring it to the next level. And I have my special guest by the name of
Torin Hart.
Awesome. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. We'll have this on iTunes, Spotify, and much more, because we're all about helping people live their best life and bringing it to the next level. So with that, we are out. Peace and much love. The way I